Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and happy holidays. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that I don't look like too much of a crazy person here. It's a little scary doing this. So, if you don't know me, my name is Melissa. I go by Geeky Witch here on camera. And I have read back. Let's mute that. Okay. Um, my name is Melissa, and I go by Geeky Witch here online. I am a cross stitcher and a reader and a collector of cats unintentionally. You will probably see at least one through this scene at some point this afternoon. And I wanted to try something new for the floss tube community because I found this to be kind of cool. So if you are familiar with BookTube or AuthorTube here on YouTube, and possibly other places as well. Basically, they'll get together for a couple of hours and do some productivity sprints. Couple hours. I say some of them will go hardcore all day, but for this one, we're only going to do a couple of hours just to see how it goes. And what they do is they'll chat here for a little bit during a break, and then a timer will be set, and everyone goes off to do their reading, writing, stitching, whatever they're doing. And there'll be a countdown timer. Some will do it with music. I'm not going to, because I know a lot of people either enjoy watching TV or listen to audiobooks or something else while they stitch. So it will have a silent countdown. And then once the countdown is over with, we'll come back and we'll chat for a few minutes, take a break, go get a drink, whatever, and then we'll do another one. And it's just a way to kind of keep yourself focused in the Pomodoro technique of getting stuff done. So if you're here, say hi, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. I am going to be working on Jade Band Sampler today, and this is my current status of it. I just finished week 28 of 30 last night, so I got 2 more weeks of this sucker to go, and then I will be completely done. And I'm really hoping to have this done by Tuesday. I have tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday off, so fingers crossed. I should be good to go to get that done by then and have this basically be my one big finish of the year. I've been working on this piece since the beginning of 2021, off and on. It took a long break last year because I just was kind of tired of dealing with it. But I got a second wind on it this year, and I've been really working on it for a good portion of the year. So I think when I started this year, I think I was on week 14. So I've done a really good chunk of it. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on. My plan for this first sprint is I'm going to be getting this border cut up here. Hopefully I can do both sides, but I don't know if I will be able to in one sprint. But definitely today. So that then I can roll up the scroll bars to start working on week 29 of 30. And if I get to that today, awesome. But this is the goal for right now. So, and it's also something that's easy to work on while I'm doing sprints and stuff, because it doesn't really involve a whole ton of counting since it's so repetitious down the side. So I'm going to get going on a sprint. We're going to do a 30-minute sprint to start off, and so people can kind of see how it goes. Then we'll come back. I'll chat for a few minutes, and then we'll start a 45-minute sprint. In the meantime, if you're here, feel free to say hi in the chat. Hopefully it comes through. I probably will pop and make sure that I'm getting Facebook chats. I don't know if they're coming through or not, but we'll test. But please, if you're on, say hi. And otherwise, I will see you in about 30 minutes. All right. Happy stitching, everybody. All right. Hello, everybody. That was the first timer. And I realized that I have it in the notes on my YouTube that I was going to run 3 60-minute timers, but then discovered that because I'm currently using the free version of Restream, that I can only do 45s. So we won't be doing any 60s today, but I will do probably a couple of 45 minutes starting with our next one. But I wanted to say hello to Jocandine from France. She says that it's a busy day with a family meal, so she hasn't touched a needle today. She's been doing some paper crafts. When the cleaning was almost done, it's about 9:20 p.m. there. So she's 6 hours ahead of me because I'm in US Eastern Time, which is the same time zone as New York City. I live northeast of New York in Rhode Island, probably about a 3-hour drive, depending on how Connecticut traffic behaves, north of New York, and about an hour south of Boston. So we got some snow yesterday and the sun's about to set today. But yes, I hope you had happy holidays. And I know that Sunday is often a very busy family day. It was a quiet one here. So, and also hello to Julia in California. Nice to see you here too. Thank you for joining me on this little bit of insanity today. What are you working on today, if anything? And how did you guys do that last sprint? I did better than I thought I was going to do, but I am working on something that, as I said before the sprint, I don't have to count because it's just a repetitive border. So I had 2 strings that were sitting up here, so I just worked those down and finished them up. And then next sprint, I'm going to start working on this side so that then hopefully by the last sprint, I can roll this up and start working on part 29. So, because, oh my God, I just want this thing done. Yeah. This was one of those things that so this is Jade Van Sampler by iStitch Designs. She does one of these, she's done one of these for the past several years. And they're in she releases them each week. She'll release a part that's maybe, 30 to 40 stitches high of the chart at a time. If you stitch them over one on standard 28 count banding, it'll wind up being about 1 meter long, so about 3 feet long. I decided I wanted to be lazy, and so I'm doing it over 2. And I didn't think that through before I started it, and this is going to be about 2 meters long, which is over 6 feet. It's already taller than me by quite a bit. So yeah, and I don't really have the wall space to hang this anywhere. That was my not thinking quite the way I should have. But anyway, so I am planning, actually, I could grab it while I'm here. Where did I put that thing? When I was at a stitching retreat in mid-November up in New Hampshire, a couple of the ladies went out to an antique store and they found a couple of those big antique industrial spools from when there were a whole ton of fabric and textile fabric factories up here. So let me grab the spool. Where'd it go? Where did I put it? Ah, there it is. So one of the ladies found it and went, oh, someone will have a use for this. So here's the spool. And look how perfect that's going to fit. So my plan is I'm going to wrap it facing outward loosely and then put it under glass, kind of like hurricane glass, and just have it sitting there kind of as a pretty little scroll until I have a place to hang it. And then we'll figure that out later. So, oh, and I see an Emma has shown up. Hello, Tone. How you doing? AJ Emma is my friend Tone, who is also a very, very good friend of my husband. And yes, he's doing Little Army Men, so he's working on his Warhammer army. Very nice. You need to get my husband back in that because we have a whole ton of them that need to be painted. I've got orcs that I haven't touched in 10 years that really should be put to use somewhere. So as we, clean out our house and get a disaster going. So yes, we're an equal opportunity crafting and hobbying group. Come on in here with anything. Because I have gone, as Tone can admit, I went to the Dungeons and Dragons gaming store with my cross stitch many a time because it was a store that was for games and hobbies. And of course, this is a hobby. So yes, get my husband into things, for the love of God. He needs something to do. Oh. He is currently with Max over my son at the park. They are sledding because we got about 2.5, 3 inches of snow yesterday. So my poor son has grown up with like really drought sledding years. So anytime there's even a speck of snow, he's over at the park trying to get some runs in because we have a really, really good hill right next to us. So, but yes, it's nice to see people. And I know I'm going to do this. My plan is to try to get this as a set stitching time every single Sunday afternoon from about 3 to 6. Granted, of course, like with the Super Bowl coming up and probably an event here and there along the way, that won't happen, but I'll let folks know when that happens. And otherwise, I might just do some pop-ups on occasion as my schedule allows. Some days, who knows, maybe I'll just do a hardcore, I'm just going to stitch all afternoon. Whoever wants to hang out with me for a bit, awesome. So yes. All right. So with that, why don't I get us into the next sprint? We'll do a 45-minute sprint this time. And, let me know what you're working on if you are popping in and haven't said hi yet. And I will chat off and on, like between when I have to switch out threads. But while I'm stitching, I have like a big frame right in front of me. So it's like right here. So it's kind of hard for me to get to my keyboard. Well, I keep an eye on things, but say hi, feel free to chat with each other, and I will see you guys in about 45 minutes. All right? Happy crafting, everybody. All right. Hello, everybody. How was that round for you? I hope that everyone had a productive round. Mine was okay, except for I was not paying attention and kind of anchored a piece of floss and then dragged it about 4 inches down, and not quite what I wanted to do. So I had to do a little bit of fixing and weaving to get the ends back in, because by the time I discovered it, I'd gone down like 70 stitches. I'm like, I'm not picking all that out just to fix this. I'll just trim and, anchor that bit of floss in, because I'm lazy. And I don't want to pick out any more stitches on this thing. So here's where I am. This round I went from here to here. And this next round, I'm going to finish this one up, and then I can scroll this down. When I do, I will show you the whole thing to date. I'll unroll the whole thing because I have to move it anyway. But I literally only have about maybe 4 or 5 inches left at most on this thing. So I seriously can't wait to have this done. It is by far the longest piece I've ever stitched and will probably ever stitch. I don't think I'll do one of these again. I love the idea of, actually, I shouldn't say that. I do have the denim band sampler, which was the following year. I was trying to stitch them both at the same time, and that just was not a good idea. So denim band is put away until this is done. I probably won't work on denim band this coming year. I'll let it sit for a year since I've done so much time on this year. I have some other stuff I really want to focus on, and that's fine. It can sit, it's not going anywhere. I'll finish it when I finish it. But I think 2 of them is enough. I really like the idea of them, but the alphabets for me get a little dull. And I know my ABCs pretty well, and especially after stitching this thing, I really know my ABCs. Unless I were to mix it up and put, like, I don't know, the Cyrillic alphabet in there, or put some other alphabet in there just for funsies. I think 2 of these is enough. So, but yeah, so that's where this one is. So what did other people do during this sprint? Let me know how you're doing, what you're doing. If you're watching, because I don't even know if anyone's watching anymore. In the meantime, during this break, let me show you my plans for the beginning of 2026. So one of my friends, Joanna, is going to be starting a stitch along on Facebook with a piece called "Oh Christmas Tree" from All Through the Night. And she invited us to do a start or stitch along, your choice on what you believe SAL stands for. This is, it's kind of glary there. This is the piece. Really cute, very simple, easy to adapt to anything you got in stash. We're going to be starting that on New Year's Day, but of course, if you want to jump in on your own, you can start it whenever. Not that big of a piece. Let's see what the count size is. It's 131 stitches high by 101 wide, so not horrible. I don't know what fabric I'm doing it on yet. That's one of my things in my to-do list for tomorrow or Tuesday, but I'm thinking this floss, which is kind of a deep cranberry red, goes a little past red. It might not be holiday enough, but I don't know. There's something about it that I think is really, really pretty. Oop. I'd like to do it in a green, but I also want to do stuff from stash. And this is one of the ones that's just kind of been sitting around. I had some other greens, but I didn't think they were a Christmassy green. I thought they were like a little too summery. So where, Christmas green, you want like something that's a bit more like foresty green. I don't want like a super bright green. I really do like the green that's on here, but I've got so much stash. And this one says it's a Valdani olive green, and I don't have any Valdani threads. But I really want to use what I have, because I've collected so much stash. Like for instance, this whole cabinet that you see here is a collection of my WIPs, my works in progress, along with projects that are kitted but not started yet. They're all in their own like little project bags. So those are all there. I've got a huge bag of just loose floss that I need to sort through. I've got bags of fabric that I've collected over the years. I've got so much stuff. I could probably do 3 lifetimes. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, anything that I can, I want to try to just stitch from stash at this point. I have enough. I don't need any more. You know, and it's one thing if I have a project I want to start and maybe I need like 2 or 3 flosses to kit it out, but I can do most of it from what I have. That's awesome. But I'm trying not to make big collections of floss and big collections of fabric and all that kind of stuff at this point, because I would probably need until I'm like 250 to finish everything at this point. And we all know that's not going to happen. So that's my New Year's Day start. Then every year since it started, I've done a stitch along called Whip Go, which is like bingo, but with whatever you're working on for cross stitch. And I've also seen some of the stitchers who have adapted it to things they're going to read or other things to do with hobbies. It kind of is a great, you know, just motivator of giving yourself the goals you want to do, but let it be a little random so you don't have the entire year completely perfectly structured out. The first 2 numbers of the year were called on, I think Jess called them on Christmas Day. And I tried to find both pieces during this last round. I was able to find one because the hoop it's in is so freaking big that it's hard to miss in my office. This is Water Garden by Chatelaine. And yes, it will be even bigger than what you see here probably by the time it's done. This is a quilting frame that I think is like either a 16 or an 18-inch round frame. But this is the center. I'm just starting to get into the outer stuff. So, but I have this for one of my Whip Go pieces. The other one is Hugs and Kisses from Blue Ribbon Design. And my goal on Whip Go for these is to do about 1,000 stitches on each of them, which I should be able to do comfortably in a month. I am a relatively slow stitcher most of the time, although I have noticed lately I've been getting a good rhythm going and I'm picking up a little bit of speed, but I'm not someone who does the sewing method where I work entirely on top. I am a stabber. Although when I'm working here at my desk, I'm usually working with my Lowry frame. And that allows me to stitch two-handed. So let me lift my Lowry up here. This is my Lowry frame. It's a floor frame and it has just a clamp here. I put like a heel pad for shoes on the inside so that I can have it a little tighter and easier to grip into, like a Q-snap or a hoop, as opposed to its original use, which was with, you know, one of these frames like this. But the heel pad allows me to grip onto something that's round a little bit better, I found. So I can use it with a lot more of my stuff. It doesn't work on super thin frames, but any of those nice thick frames works beautifully. On the quilting hoop, oh yeah, works great. So when I'm working here at my desk, and often when I'm working on the couch, if I can use this frame so I can stitch two-handed, awesome. Um, Otherwise, I'm usually working in either an 8-inch or an 11-inch hoop. I've noticed as I've been getting older, I'm not using my Q-snaps in hand as much anymore. My wrists are starting to get a little bit weaker because, I'm now 50 and I'm noticing a few aches and pains that weren't there before. Uh, but yeah, you adapt to what you can do. And this Lowry frame has been amazing for me. I've had it now for, gosh, when did I get this thing? 2019? I don't think it was as early. I don't think it was after COVID. I think I got it like right before COVID. Maybe even a couple of years before COVID. This thing's a tank and it's fantastic. A little heavy, little cumbersome to walk around, but it does come apart in bits. Really, all you have to do is just take like the top half off, and then it's easy to use. So, yeah. So these are the two pieces I'm probably going to be working on the first week of January through like the 7th. Then my birthday comes up the following week, and I always have a tradition of doing I have a New Year's start, and then I have a birthday start every year. This past year, I had a whole ton of starts because I decided for turning 50, it was like, why not let myself start anything from my stash that I want to start? So I did that. Believe it or not, did not start as many things as I thought I was going to start. But I worked on a whole ton of stuff. I got some things that I'd really been itching to start going, which was awesome. And then this coming year, I'm going to buckle down a little bit and work more on my my whips, and get some of the stuff going and progressing that I've had sitting here. Hopefully have quite a few more finishes in the next couple of years. I do have a habit of doing really, really big projects. So mine take a while to get done. I do have some projects that have been dragging on now for a long time. But my opinion is that cross-stitch projects get done when they're meant to get done. Unless they are specifically for somebody, yeah, I really don't worry about it. Yes, this this is a big hoop. This is a quilting hoop. It's not actually a cross stitch hoop. I got this. I think I got this off a freebie table at a retreat, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be great for like really big pieces." And for a chatelaine, it works fantastic. It's not one that I recommend for everything because, yeah, it's huge. But for something like this where you're going to be going all the way around, yeah, it actually makes life a lot easier. But yeah, that's the only one I have that size. It's a little ridiculous. And you cannot work on that in hand. It has to be done on a frame because otherwise you're just like fighting the whole thing. But yeah, so I have a birthday start coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do for it yet. I haven't figured out what's screaming at me yet to start. After that, just going to buckle down into my whips. I know that I've got a couple other starts coming later in the year because I'm part of a sampler guild called Tudor Rose, and we have a couple of different workshops this year. One with the Wishing Thorn in April, and then one with Fox and Rabbit in October. And it's open for members of the guild. So if you are interested in either of those samplers, you can go to here. I'll put their website into the rosesamplerguild.com. That is their link, and you can pop over there. It's like $40 a year to join, and then that gives you access to be able to join the guild. and then be in those workshops. Um, but you do have to pay for the actual kit if you want to be on those workshops. But it's a great guild, and the pieces are really interesting, and the monthly, you know, the monthly meetings are a lot of fun. We have presentations from different people in the needlework industry to learn about things, and it's not all samplers; it's all sorts of different things. But anyway, so I know I have those two starts coming up later in the year. I'm sure next year for the Jingle Ball, I'll probably join in at least one of the classes. Um, I'm sure there'll be something else during the year, but I'm not going to go crazy like I did this year. I think I started 20 projects this year. Way too many. Way too many. Um, yeah, I need to not do that this year because I don't have any more room in the cabinet. I need to work on what's in there. Anyway, so I think I will get us going into another sprint soon. I see that we have a few people here. I think people are lurking, but that's cool. But please join in and say hi if you're around. Even during the time that it says that we're streaming and sprinting, people can see the chat. You can chat with anyone the whole time. It's cool with me. But I will start us off on another 45-minute sprint. And then when we come back from that one, we'll see where we're at. And if people want to go for another long one, we can go for a long one. And if not, we'll do a 30-minute wrap-up sprint. And that'll be it for this week. All right. So here we go. Off to another sprint. And I will see you guys in about 45 minutes. Happy stitching. Hello, and I'm back. It's like sometimes the 45 minutes go really, really fast, and sometimes they're really, really slow. That one went really, really fast, and I didn't get that much stitching done. My husband got home he dropped Max off from going sledding because it was starting to get dark, and then he went off to do some errands, and he got home during that sprint. So I was chatting with him a little bit and, got something to drink, just stretched my legs for a few minutes. And then all of a sudden I sat down and I had like 5 minutes left. It was like, oh, okay. So I got a little bit of stitches, a little bit in, but nothing, it's coming. I'll definitely get this done in the next one, which is great because that's what my goal was. But not quite as far as I'd kind of hoped to get. But before I log off tonight, I will show where it actually ends up for the day and where I'm moving the scroll rods to work on tonight. So how did everybody else do? I'm not sure who else is still on. It looks like I've got a couple of people hanging out with me still. It's about 5:30 p.m. here. And my original goal was to do sprints until about 6 o'clock. So I'll probably do one more, and the last one will be a 30-minute kind of wind down sprint. But definitely give me your thoughts in the comments on YouTube of what you would like to see going forward for these sprints. If you like the 45s, if you would prefer that they're 30 minutes. I do want to eventually try a 60-minute sprint, but I can't do that until I do a paid version of Restream. So that might be a little further down the way. But, we could always just do back-to-back 30s, and I can just say, hey, we're going to do a 60-minute sprint, but we're just going to wind it twice. There's ways to get around it. So let me know what your thoughts are, because as I had mentioned, this is a brand new thing to me, and I've seen some of the folks that do them on the BookTube and the AuthorTube, and they all do things a little bit differently. And it is one of those things that for cross-stitching, maybe we need to do a slightly different format. One thing I definitely will do once I figure out how to set it up on screen is to have a camera on my stitching so you can see me doing my stitching during the actual countdown. I just need to figure out how I get all of the implements on the screen for that, and stuff for me to learn. It's all new to me, and you figure, hey, the kids are able to do it, so those of us in our early 50s should be able to figure this out too. I did go to university and I did get a degree, so this shouldn't be that hard. Shouldn't, but we'll see. Anyway, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. And if you have what you've been working on, let me know. I'd love to know what other people are doing, what they're thinking, what they have planned for their New Year's starts or for the rest of this week. Yeah. I will probably do this again next Sunday from about the same times, about 3 p.m. until 5:30, 6 o'clock, probably about the same stretch of time. I think it's just a good time frame for me because we're kind of winding down and doing, my family is like off doing their own things by that point, and I can kind of just settle down and stitch. I may do a normal floss tube at some point this week because I have the next 4 days off. I took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off from work, and I have Thursday off because it's New Year's. I am back to work on Friday, but I'm working from home, so not a big deal. But I haven't done an actual like floss tube video in a while. I don't think I'll do it as a streaming live though, because it's a lot easier to do those where I have things prepped and can pause and move stuff around if I need to, and then come back and show more. I haven't done a whip parade in forever. It's got to be a couple of years now. So I may work on a whip parade. That could take a while. that might be like 3 or 4 different videos at this point with how many whips are in my list. Oof, yeah, I'm a little out of control. Actually, I'll show you how out of control I am. So over the last week, I have been organizing my new stitch planner. This is the one from Black Needle Society. I just got it in the mail a couple of weeks ago. I've used their planner for the last 3-4 years. They went back to a slightly smaller one than last year. This is the one from this year. And you can see it's just like a hair smaller. Not super. It's both a little bit narrower and just a little bit shorter. But it's a nice size to use. I do like that it is a 3-ring. I've tried to use like the Happy Planner discs and it just doesn't work for me. But this has the Happy Planner layout per week, like the vertical per week layout, which is really, really nice. So my whip list, I took the entire list that I know I have, and I have literally been writing them in. And I wound up having, that's where I'm at. Yeah, there's a lot. So I got to do a plan of attack on these. Some of these are ones that have been dormant for a while. I don't take things off of my whip list. If it has stitches in it, it's on my whip list. It may be a dormant whip. It may be one that's kind of in reserve for me to work on later. But I still consider them a whip. I know there's a lot of people who have like an unfinished object and a whip list, and there's UFOs and whips. At this point, I don't really have a difference between them. Maybe unfinished objects, I would say, would be the ones that I have finished the stitching on, but I haven't fully finished the object. So like ornaments that haven't been put into an ornament shape, but the stitching's done. And I have a few of those. I have quite a few of those. But yeah, so I don't really keep a division between unfinished objects and whips. I've adopted my friend Amy, who is Gable Stitcher on FlossTube. I've adopted her concept of legacy whips, which are kind of like the older whips that are in reserve. And they usually are ones that you started before a certain point. And then active whips. And my legacy whips are ones that I started before my son was born that I really haven't touched much. So we're talking anything, in my case, that's now becoming a teenager. that they're old at this point. But it's also, I kind of started a whole ton of Teresa Wenslers at the same time. And there's only so much Wensler you can do at a time. You can't work on a whole bunch of them. And I've got at least 8 or 9 of them going right now. So it's like, okay, we can't do all of these at once. We're going to finish one at a time, and then the next one can come up, or 2 can come up, and because there's so much other stuff I want to stitch too. And sometimes I don't mind blending threads, but sometimes I just want to be able to relax and just do lazy stitching and just chill. Sometimes I don't need to be doing complicated counting stuff. So, but yeah, I'm going to be working on getting my stitching planner together over the next few days. I've got it started, but I need to do like my goals for next year. And Black Needle Society has some stitch alongs that they started in here, which are kind of cool, where they've got like a 26 for 26 and starting things. I don't know that I'm going to do a start for 26 and 26, but I may adapt that and do a 26 and 26 from my WIBs. But we'll see. We'll see what the year brings on that one. They have a stitching A to Z challenge where, you know, you find among your WIPs stuff that starts with the different letters of the alphabet. They have pampering yourself goals. So if you do certain projects and you hit a goal on it, then you give yourself a reward. That sounds like it could be kind of fun. They have a word of the year where they have a word written out and you find things to fit the letters in the word. They have their own bingo board. They have a color board. And then they have some other ones throughout the year. And then I taped in a couple of my challenges that I'm doing through different groups. So some of the pages, they have their own challenges in there at the end of the monthly tabs. But then there's some of them, I'm trying to find the blank one here. Maybe. So here we go. All the way to November, because I've taped stuff in there. So they'll have like this blank page like this. And those are the pages I've used for ones that I'm doing in other groups so that I have everything handy in one planner. So for example, I have my Whip Go board, and the ones that are highlighted are the ones that were called for January. So I just kind of glued that in there, put a couple stickers in there for decoration. And then I'm part of a group called Semi-Sane Stitchers on Facebook. And they are doing their own version of a 26 in 26, where you're just doing count goals. They kind of have like a 2-week block throughout the year. So there'll be 26 blocks through the year. And you set a goal of a minimum of 500 stitches during that block, and you pick the piece that you're going to work on, and you do, you know, like a beginning and an ending photo post of them. So I just have the checklist on what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be incorporating my my Whip Go stitches on this. I think it'll be an easy way to keep myself on track with Whip Go. So I'm starting with Water Garden, and then the one that I'll do in later January will be the one for Hugs and Kisses. And I'll just kind of keep going through the year and get all of those done. I'm also in a group on Facebook that does the ornaments from Just Cross Stitch. And every year they vote on the pieces that are in that year's Just Cross Stitch ornament issue, and pick one from each section of the ornament issue to become the featured cross stitch piece for a month of the year. And every year I've intended to do some of the ornaments, and almost every single year I've completely forgotten to do the ornaments. So this year I actually taped the schedule into my planner. So I have them all here with what month they're in. And I might not stick perfectly to the month that's called, but my goal is to get at least a few of these stitched for the year. And then I'll have things for exchanges at retreats, and I'll have things for my own tree, you know, maybe for gifties for friends and family. So it'll be a good way to get a little bit of ornament stitching done through the year. So that's kind of how my planner's going, but I need to make my like overall year goals and just kind of figure out what I'm doing. So that's where I'm at for right now. I'm going to start the last sprint because it is almost 10 minutes of 6 p.m. here. And we'll do a 30-minute sprint to wrap things up. Feel free again if you're around to talk. And if not, I'll come back just at the end to, just do a quick goodbye and plans for next time. And please give me your feedback, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching this on, a replay and just using the feed to keep yourself going. And thanks for stopping by and tolerating my first attempts at doing a stream, because I do feel awkward and I feel like I'm talking to myself. Anyway, so I will start the last one. I hope you have good productivity in whatever you're doing, and I'll see you on the other side. Alrighty, that was the final sprint for tonight. And I did finish both edges. So I've brought all of that down on both sides. So I am ready to move my scroll rods. How did you do this sprint? I will be, well, let me unscroll this because I'm going to move it. And this actually might be my last time moving these scroll rods, which I'm psyched because, yeah, I might actually get this thing done. It really would be honestly thrilling to get this done for New Year's. So I'm going to just show off the whole thing to date. And once I do finish this, I will probably have my husband, come on, get out of there. I'll have my husband hold it up because it's probably going to be about as tall as he is. And I'll stand next to it because that'll make it more fun. So let me let that roll and I will unroll this thing. Okay, as it goes and goes and goes and goes. All right, so here is the beginning from 2021. And it just keeps going and going. Now, the way I did this, it was charted in one solid color, but I got a collection of threads off of Etsy that were all in different greens and just kind of freeform threw the greens in there so that it would have kind of that jade look. The only thing I did do is I reserved 2 skeins specifically for the border so they would all be uniform. But otherwise, everything else has just kind of been thrown in there as I got to each section. I was like, oh yeah, I think I'll do that color. And then just kind of worked it. So, and it keeps going and going, and then we're there. So yeah, as you can see, if let me move back here in the room. That's it sitting on the floor, and it's at least 8 inches taller than me. It's a little bit ridiculous. So, but it's a cool piece. I've had a lot of fun with it, but yeah, I don't think I want to stitch anything this long again. Anyway, so I'm going to move my scroll rods and going to go and hang out with my husband, and I hear my son out there, so I'm going to have some family time. But thanks again to those of you who joined me on this fun little adventure, and I will be back next Sunday to do the same thing at 3 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to see you there. Until then, take care. Have a very, very happy New Year, a safe New Year, and I'll see you in a week. Bye.